How are we doing this morning, gamers? It's Monday. We got some Omega Pokemon confirmed coming to the Pocket Monsters. It's fun. I should make a command on the Twitch side for that. Surely do my best to drive some traffic to the Pocket YouTube channel. The algorithm's been unkind to it since we came back. Folks. I will say, it feels like, or we're talking with some people in the Discord server, and it feels like there's a real chance that Megas are not in this upcoming expansion at the end of the month, thinking about it. So we'll see where, when those actually happen, because the release date in the trailer they put out was just end of before this year. Yeah, it said fall. I mean, technically the end of the month is fall, right? Or is it weird our season's different in other parts of the world? When does summer technically end? But they could be the hook for the B1 set, because we'll need an A4A and an A4B still, probably. Technically, September 21 to 24. Yeah, they're probably coming with the 1-year anniversary, thinking about it more. I mentioned I thought they could be the end of the month in the review video when I did it off the cuff, but talking about it with folks in the Discord server, I think it's probably the B1 set after last night. It's incredibly strange. I don't know, maybe this is probably copium, but maybe they're gonna finally do more reasonable spoiler things for all their sets. Now that they're giving us, you know, something in advance. It's so weird to get these random cards mentioned if they're gonna be 2 or 3 months in advance. Because then, in theory, we're what, like 10 days out from A4A? It should be the 28th. So we should get, if the typical pattern holds, we'll get stuff for A4A at the end of the week. Legend ZA launched in October, and it bring back Mega, so it'd probably be like that. Yeah, that would be the 2-year, like I said. All of the VGC folks are freaking out because they confirmed that VGC for Worlds next year is going to be Pokemon Champions, which is a good thing overall. We'll be excited to see how they drag that type of stuff into the future. I have Wonder picked 6 times. gives me enough to get my Tyranitar border sleeve, whichever of those two I was missing. I forget which one I bought here last night. There's the sleeve. What do you want to play this morning? I think I'm through everything in my list of decks I had built. Let's double check. I think I'd played everything that I'd loaded. Up. Oh, you know, I don't think we'd played this one. This is the Magby Flareon. Level 12 human. Thank you for the almost 2 years. Appreciate that. Welcome back. I just don't think... What's the best way to put it? I don't think there's a super compelling reason to play Crobat stuff outside of the decks that already exist. What makes water decks struggle? Is it just high energy costs for minimal damage? Yeah, basically. Water Pokemon are balanced around Misty existing in the game, so they all kind of suck. It's like the TLDR. They have to balance every water Pokemon they create like it could have an energy a turn sooner. So almost all of them tend to end up overcosted. Misty's probably the worst design mistake they've made in this game in its short lifespan. Oh yeah, I guess I should post the Discord. Thank you for the reminder, not Maggot. Let's play a little Flareon to start. Have you played anything with Sweet Relay? I have not. That wasn't remotely competitive last season, right? It doesn't read as competitive. Have you tried Umbreon? Yeah, we played a bit of Umbreon at the start of the season. There's a highlight up. Umbreon's just got kind of similar to... It's kind of similar to the Crobat, and, like, I look at it and I think about the things to do with it. It just looks like these are just, like, worst versions of other things you could play that are good. It just doesn't feel like there's a compelling reason to be doing that as opposed to the other options of the game. That's a wonderful start to the morning. Ooh, man. Not a compelling start to the morning. According to Pocket's Twitter account, the 8th most popular deck last season was the Sweets Relay deck. So, the data that the Pocket Twitter account posts is a good example of a saying, because they post meta roundups each season. But I think the data that they post is a good example of data doesn't lie, but liars love data. And that's to say that, like, posting metagame summaries of people who are playing in Pokeball and Great Ball and lumping it in with, like, Ultra Ball and Master Ball, where the people are really trying to win and there's a very distinct difference in the types of decks people are playing, is just like, yeah, technically, I mean, their numbers are certainly true, but also, like, they're not useful and they're actively misleading. Data without skilled interpretation of it doesn't actually do anything for you as someone consuming it. Why do you talk like that? Why are you a fucking jagoff in my chat? There's some questions we'll just never know the answer to. Thankfully, I'll never have to listen to you type again. Get out of your parents' basement at some point in the future. Maybe you'll understand that there's lots of different people out there in the world, not just the 2 people you talk to on a Discord call that can tolerate your personality. Draw some cards. Why do you breathe through your nose and your mouth? I mean, I'm aware I have an atypical speech pattern. It's just like the audacity and lack of self-awareness of some gamers to come into a space and be like, hey person, why are you different? Why don't you sound like and talk like and look like and act like everybody else I interface with? Francisco Elvis, thanks for the over 2 years. I appreciate it. Welcome back. I think I want to get the Flareon out of my hand. And then it's a matter of, am I giving up 2 points here or not? I think I'm okay giving up 2 points here. I'm gonna slide this one onto here. We're gonna energy on to... I guess I could retreat into the EV too. Oh, I can kill the Darkrai, can't I? I forgot we had the energy in the discard pile. That's a good call. I forgot we retreated earlier. Oh! Oh, wait, I should EV bag for extra damage. This is legitimately my first time playing an EV bag deck. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna run out of time because of animations. Got it. Easy game. Easy game. Okay, we might still lose because I read instead of EV bag to kill that, but we're gonna persevere. should have played the Cape, but I was out of time. This is fine. Eevee could nibble on this to finish it, yeah. They would need a lot of healing to not just be cooked here. They do 20 to themselves. I guess by a lot, I mean they would need they need 2 pieces, like a potion plus a cape or a potion plus Pokemon Center Lady. Oh no. I suppose we are technically still angling for a draw here. If I hadn't spent my copy of Red... Oh, this doesn't actually make Eevee do more damage though, right? So actually isn't the case. Alright, dead to Cyrus, but not dead on board. Do we know if Megas are in the next pack? We don't have that confirmed. In fact, thinking about it, I would be kind of surprised if they are. So, I have to retreat here. Do I? This is at 90, and then Flareon takes me to 120, so I'm plus 30, and then I heal this, so that would get me to a total of 70, and I'd take 50, 70. Yeah, cooked. I think we're dead, gamers. Right, because if I evolve this and heal it for 20, we die to Nihilego. Plus the trigger here. And like obviously I can retreat here. But this takes 70 over the course of the 2 turns, which still just dies. With Gyarados, do you see a revival of Kickmonlee as a counter card? What is it with video gamers? It's a very interesting class of video gamers that you can never be, that there's this certain subset of all card gamers that's never excited about the new thing. They're excited about other people playing the new thing so they can be a dick and break the new thing for people trying to experience it. Happens a bit less in games like Pocket than it does Marvel Snap, because this game has a little bit less polarized tech cards. But my dear gamer, we don't even know if the new Mega Gyarados is going to be playable, much less do you need to start hard countering people. I think Mega Gyarados is likely the weakest of the three that they revealed to start. I feel like it would have to be pretty overwhelmingly popular to put something like Hitmonlee back on the map strongly. Favorite deck so far? I think Swata Mewtwo is my favorite thing I've played so far. Well, maybe we'll poke at some more of that today. I don't know how long the Pocket segment's gonna be this morning. We'll see what numbers look like. I don't have any decks that are speaking to me at the moment. Might just do some repeats and go from there. Are Megas stopped by the yellow chicken? Yeah, Oricorio, I believe, will take no damage from Megas. Which, honestly, we heard about... I mentioned earlier, I think Misty's one of the biggest design mistakes in this game. Oricorio's the other card that's in contention for biggest design mistake. It's definitely up there. I think I'm keeping this so they don't get a point next turn. Why do you think Oricorio is a design mistake? Because Pokemon Pocket is a game that already has a really high density of what I would describe as non-games. Like, honestly, Pokemon Pocket feels like it's up there with Magic the Gathering for, like, number of games where one player effectively just doesn't get to play. And Oricorio is a card that adds even more of those, okay, someone basically just didn't get to play here type games. Having to consider Oricorio and make your deck worse. Oricorio presents the very uninteresting deck building decision of, do I want to make my deck worse in 90% of my games, or do I want to auto-concede 10% of my games? And in a game without sideboards or multi-deck, and you're best of one, having to make that deck building decision when every one of your deck building slots is already really pressed in a 20-card deck building game is not good design, in my opinion. Bingo Papo, thank you for the 22 months. Welcome back. Because for a lot of decks, it's optimal to just pretend Oricorio doesn't exist and accept that you're gonna punt those 10% of the games to be better in the other 90%. But Pocket already has so many games where you're just auto-losing because of variance that's inherent to a card game like this, that you're like, all right, now I'm gonna add another 10% on top of that. Like, that's just not fun. No, I don't consider it a necessary evil. I'm telling you right now, I think it's a bad design and the game would be better off without it. So no, it's not. That's very much what I'm telling you. I do not think it is a necessary evil. I think it's a bad design that doesn't do anything interesting. I think it presents you with a really awful deck building choice. Alistair Stone, thank you for the 67 months. Welcome back. The Graph. Thank you for the Hawaii 5-0. That's a long time. Appreciate you coming back for over 4 years. We played a lot of games here in that time. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I agree. Designs like Pseudo Wudo or Tauros. Speaking of, we just loaded up a Tauros deck. These are examples of the type of templating that I think are significantly better than Oricorio. And then past that, I also think if you're like, okay, I want an Oricorio type design, I think an Oricorio type effect is far less offensive and more interesting if it's not an evolution Pokemon. The barest minimum should be that shouldn't be on a basic. Rogues, thank you for the 16 months. Welcome back. Yeah, that's something I hadn't considered, but Chad bringing it up on the other side too is Oricorio. So that's actually a great way to put it. None of the best decks in Pokemon Pocket right now give a flying flip about Oricorio, right? They're Dark Tita plus Rocky Helmet, or there's Sylveon Espeon that easily plays the babies, or there's Sylveon Espeon that easily plays the babies, or their Buzzwole, which has built-in organic non-EX Pokemon to it. So Oricorio isn't even really an anti-meta card. It's just this hateful little dick of a bird that makes my off-meta decks feel worse. Like it's not even doing its very basic job of stopping me from losing to EX Pokemon in the meta. All it does is it's a pub stomper. It's a card that ends up taking cards that already struggle and makes them worse. It's like, all right, it means I post a B tier deck list highlight with something that's mostly EX Pokemon. There's 800 comments asking me, how do you beat Oricorio? Because you auto lose to it. So that's another reason it's a bad design, because it literally doesn't even do its job, and it just restricts other people's ability to brew interesting off-meta things. It doesn't even accomplish the purpose it's purely designed for, which is causing people to diversify out of EXs, because the best decks in the metagame are largely EXs, and they couldn't care less about it. If you're having a desync issue on the Twitch side, refresh your stream. That is also, in the context of ranked, is the context of a tournament community or not thinking process the same? I don't understand your question. Oricorio and the best decks are what I just talked about inside of the context of a tournament. So what are you asking about is different for tournaments? I don't understand what you're asking, Steel. So on YouTube videos, it's different. There's something weird with how YouTube is processing the videos I record, where the videos I've recorded are not sunk on the YouTube side after the fact, but they're sunk fine on my videos on my computer. And I've reinstalled my computer. I've spent hours trying to debug it. I don't. It's just gonna be sunk on the YouTube videos. I don't know. I might try changing out my webcam at some point. Just thinking of picking up a new one anyways, but that's the last thing. Changing out physical hardware is the last thing I haven't tried. Oh, feeling dead. Someone asked you reviewed Mega Pokemon yet? Yeah, they're uploaded on the YouTube channel. Make sure you turn the bell on. It was uploaded and posted last night. If we'd have had a copy of... If we'd have had a Ducklet for the Pichu, it would have been in a really good spot this game, but... Without it, I think we're just dead. It might be a short Pokemon segment this morning, chat. I'm gonna run an advert. We're gonna try a couple of more, but the games have not been particularly interesting today. I don't really have any decks that feel inspiring. Have an advert, gamers. Snap was really good on Friday. Is it bad that you like Silver? No, you've been here long enough that I know you're a former Magic the Gathering player. Magic players can't help themselves. They love Thoughtseize. In ranked, you can ignore Oricorio because of the concede button. Some matches you'll just lose and it's fine for ladder, but in a tournament setting, the thinking process will be different as matches have a bigger value. So let's talk about a tournament. The numbers I talked about are exactly the same, right? Let's look at a recent largest tournament metagame. So, Oricorio decks in a recent tournament. This is an Oricorio deck, I think. Yep. So, 6, 9, and then 4, it's like 13, 14-ish percent of decks in like a recent big tournament had... So... Putting an answer to Oricorio in your deck is not free. And here, let's say we take this as the truth. 15% of your matchups are going to involve Oricorio. Do you think it's worth it to hedge 15% of your matchups if it means making your deck meaningfully worse than 85% of your matchups? Real talk. And that's why... Again, going back to it, if you're actually worried about playing against Oricorio in a tournament setting, the answer is you simply shouldn't play your mediocre B tier deck with an answer to Oricorio in it. You should sleeve up one of the generically good decks that has good answers to Oricorio, which is the reason why the Oricorio decks aren't top tier, and you should play one of those instead of taking your B tier deck that's already going to have a bad time into a number of things and make it meaningfully worse than 85% of your games. Luzani, thank you for the 14 months. Welcome back. Good morning, good morning. Hi, thank you for the over 5 years. Howdy, howdy. You got a crackly toss and 2 different Pokemon choices. Lovely. Lovely. Have you played roguelike games? I'm really not a big fan of repeating the same type of content endlessly, like games like Hades encourage you to do. I like played through Hades the first time and like escaped or whatever, and then I wasn't interested in just repeating the same content again and again and again. Do you think Regigigas, Crobat EX, Lyra could work? I don't understand what Regigigas is doing for Crobat. And what is your definition of could work? What problem does Crobat have that you're solving with Regigigas existing? Speak of the yellow chicken, and it will appear. High energy paired with low energy, but 1 point lead. So that's the opposite though, right? When you want your high energy paired with low energy into a 1 point lead, you want the low energy to be on your 1 pointer and the high energy to be on the one you're building up, right? I picked up Lyra with my 1250 pack points this expansion. Hopefully she's gonna have some staying power. I don't know. I feel like part of the reason why I don't buy cosmetics in this game anymore is because it feels like anytime I'd spend to get a 2-star, it gets power crept or rendered meta irrelevant very quickly. So, I don't know. I would just find the one that has the one you're gonna play the most with right now, because whatever it is probably not gonna be relevant 3 months from now, or even next month potentially. Hey, Jeff, I don't know if you answered this, but if Pokemon Champions has good progression in how you obtain Pokemon and train them, will you compete in tournaments or just stream games? I don't know. It depends on how convenient tournaments are. Someone who's an adult with lots of small children, it's very hard to justify traveling to play in tournaments competitively. They're such a really big time and money sink. But if building and brewing interesting teams in Pokemon Champions is going to end up being a thing, I will definitely end up doing some of it on stream. Very, very interested in that. By deck that works, I mean, is it good enough to get to Masters? You could absolutely get to Masters with anything. Getting to Masters is more about the volume you play than it is about anything else. Cody, thank you for the 76 months. The tier 2, welcome back. So, unless they have an X-Speed or a Leaf, they can't kill the Tauros this turn. Wow, brutal. I guess because they're playing baby Pokemon, they're more likely to be playing that. And then I think we're cooked from here, yeah. Yeah, we just cannot buy a win. You'll be able to use your Pokemon from Pokemon Go and Champions. Is that real? I mean, that won't really matter. It's really going to depend on how easy building new teams is. It's going to be, what's the start from zero? Zero amount's going to be the most important metric. Once Upon a Galaxy is great. Genuinely my favorite thing I've been playing recently. Easily my most played off-stream game. I thought about opening Pokemon Go again this summer for the first time in a long time. And then they sold it to Saudi Arabia, and I was just like, nah, I think I'm good. The World Championship winning Pokemon TCG deck costs less than Mario Kart Worlds. Pokemon paper Pokemon TCG is literally the one TCG that actually keeps their prices reasonable. It's nice. Alright, well, Decidueye EX, if we can find a piece of candy, does live a Lugia hit with a cape. Narrator, he did not find a candy. It must be the collectible side of Pokemon TCG. It's expensive because I've seen huge numbers there. Yes, Pokemon does a very good job of allowing there to be expensive chase alt arts in their game while keeping mechanically... There aren't mechanically unique expensive cards in paper Pokemon is like the TLDR. All of the expensive cards in paper Pokemon are cosmetics. How do you access deck building in Once Upon a Galaxy? You have to have, I think it's 13 cards unlocked for a champion. Feeling pretty dead. Oh, you know, I should actually hold the Shuckle because we have a communication in our deck. Are you interested in playing Expedition 33? That is absolutely the type of game I typically enjoy playing. And I will definitely play it at some point. However, I'm a responsible gamer, and I don't buy games that I'm not going to start playing right away unless they're really deeply discounted. So... I imagine given the current list of things I want to play at some point in my existing gaming habits, I will probably play Expedition 33 in 2035 or 36. It's on Game Pass. People always try and tell me a game's on Game Pass like it's some type of selling point, but again, like, the cost of a game isn't my bottleneck as an adult gamer with children. The bottleneck on whether or not I'm going to pick up a game and play it is the time available in the short term. I'm actually like 40% of the way through Dad of Boy Ragnarok. That was the most recent one I attempted. I don't know. I always end up getting distracted by Genshin Impact. That's just genuinely one of the better RPGs ever produced. It's very, very, very good. Man, I feel like Pocket is trying to tell me I should go play Marvel Snap this morning. It's been just awful opener after awful opener with every single deck we've loaded up. You ever play that card game within Genshin? Yeah, I played a bunch of it. It's very good. And unironically, the card game inside of Genshin Impact has better animations and more quality of life features than Pokemon Pocket to set a low bar. I know that that's a low bar, but it clears it very thoroughly. They did a very good job of top-down design that represents their regular gameplay well. You ever tried streaming those games? Do they not get a lot of viewers? Yeah, I mean, like, my viewer count for non-Marvel Snap things is already down from, like, what Marvel Snap is, and then if you venture out into games that are a different genre of game past that, like non-turn-based strategy, we're basically a PvP turn-based strategy game stream. And when you move outside of that space, the viewer count pitches off a cliff even harder than it does when I do whatever my non-main game is. Duck Doolittle, thank you for the 64 months and everything else you've done here over the last 5 years and more. Good morning, good morning. Mega Ultra Chicken coming to Pocket soon. It is in fact a Mega Ultra Chicken. Yeah, Honkai Star Rail is very reasonable. Honkai Star Rail is basically the Genshin Impact formula, but in a turn-based RPG game. I played that one for a while after it dropped. I just didn't have time for another game in my life. All right, we might have a line to victory here if we can find a copy of Time Rogue. Cover this tough start. All right, this is it, chat. We're gonna do it. We're gonna to win it. So if they KO Skarmory, they're dead. So they can't just knock out Skarmory here with Combust. Oh, come on. I've got one more brutal loss in me, I think, for this game. And then I'm gonna tamp out. Spent an hour losing every game so far this morning with every deck we've played. Pocket brought me into the streaming world, so I'm definitely on the side of viewer count pitches off a cliff when you're not streaming Pocket. For reference, playing Pocket is already pitching my viewer count off a cliff, just for clarity's sake. It was really honestly insulting and very frustrating when I took my break for making Pocket content when I wasn't having fun with it, where people were like, Jeff, you were only making content for this game for the money. Because I can't emphasize enough that, like, one of the singular worst things a content creator like myself can do for their revenue is try and diversify into playing other games at all. Because I lost an incredible amount of revenue personally making Pokemon Pocket content. So when people were giant assholes to me, when I decided to take a break because I wasn't having fun with it, and they were like, you were just here for the money. And I was just like, no, I really can't emphasize enough to you that that was never the case. Like, just as a point of reference, like, my average viewer count streaming Marvel stat for the last 30 days is about 800 viewers, and my average viewer count streaming Pokemon Pocket for the last 30 days is about 500 viewers. It's a nearly 50% drop-off. And for what it's worth, for people that aren't familiar with this industry, the way it works, my Snap numbers would be better if I was only doing Snap. When you're a one-game content creator focusing, larger one-game content creator focusing more helps your numbers more than anything. Here for the money, those golden Pokeballs would like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even Travis in chat, selfishly I prefer only Snap. Some amount of my Pokemon Pocket numbers are just people that like me personally, but would prefer I would be on the other thing that they were here for first. And then there's non-viewer count implications of that too. People are way less likely to support directly when you're not making as much content for the singular game that they care about. So like, as I've been trying other things like Shadowverse and Pocket and other things just for fun, like my direct support numbers currently are the lowest they've been in, gosh, probably since I was playing Magic the Gathering. Yeah, since before Snap took off. We're at about 1,400 concurrent subscribers on Twitch at the moment, which is down about, what's that, like 30%, 40% from before I was playing Pocket. Which Mega Evolution would you like to see? I'm going to be honest, I'm completely disconnected from the entire concept of Pokemon Pocket, or sorry, Pokemon Megas, and I have no idea what Pokemon qualifies for a Mega or not. Yeah, part of the subscriber count being down could definitely be the state of the world. There's definitely no recession in Bossing Say. It's, let's say, funny following finance accounts on social media, and like half their posts are talking about how like the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones are like hitting records every other week, and the other half are like, here's this parallel to 2008, here's this parallel to the Great Depression, here's this parallel to the dot-com bubble. It's just like, ugh. So, the number one thing, and obviously I can't know whether or not it's greater economic changes in the world impacting my sub count versus, I can't know with 100% certainty whether it's greater economic stuff in the world impacting my sub count or the fact that I'm making different content. But the number one thing that makes me believe expanding into other games like Pokemon Pocket content is hurting my sub count more than anything is that my number of paid subscribers has actually been very steady over the course of the last year still. It hasn't really moved up or down meaningfully, meaning the core audience that spends their actual money directly to support me has remained the same. Whereas the primary fluctuation of my subscriber count drop-off is I've lost people who subscribe with Amazon Prime. And Amazon Prime people and people that subscribe with that service for free are people that are typically only using that subscription when they're there actively watching the content. A lot of people don't, and some of them do, and I really appreciate the people. Like, some of the people come in and drop off that Prime sub even if I'm not currently streaming the game that they're interested in, or like in that current moment of time. But in my experience, Prime subs tend to like directly correlate and scale with your hours streamed and video things or hours put into a game. So those Prime subscriptions tend to fluctuate how many you have more in line with what your viewer count is for the games that you're playing. So the viewer count being down and then the Prime sub count being down. Those two things happening simultaneously doesn't really surprise me. Scotty doesn't know. Speaking of primers, thanks for the 22 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And Mike Awesomeness, thanks for the 27 months. Sammy Jammers, thanks for the 2/3 of a year. And for reference, for people who are newer to the stream, I know Pocket's brought some new folks in. I've been doing this a really long time. Been fortunate enough to call what I do here my job for the better part of, gosh, going on 8 years now. Been around the block, so to speak. Oh, so this thing just dies to being burned, so let's get that animation out of the way. And then it's a question of, am I switching this Typhlosion out? I think I am. Means we're just in. Alright, gamers, I'm gonna play some Marvel Snap. Speaking of it having better numbers, it's not even related to that. I don't really. I'm just not having fun this morning with this game. I'm just like lost every game for the last hour. You're the most considerate streamer. I've been watching other Shadowverse content and they just let ads run in the middle. My viewing quality would be better if I switched my Prime to them, but I like you too much. Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunately just like the norm on Twitch as a platform is. I honestly can't believe people tolerate it. I actually don't watch a lot of Twitch.tv personally because it's so normalized that streamers just like let ads rip in the middle of their content. There's like a very small handful of content creators who run their ads like me, and I like have them on my list, and they're people I actually watch, and then if they're not on, I just like go watch Netflix or something else. Let's see if the statue continues in Snap. And honestly, part of egotistically / selfishly, I would wager I've probably social bullied a lot of people in the Marvel Snap content space into knowing and learning about running their ads better because I'm so vocal about it as one of the biggest ones there. I wish Shadowverse had better gameplay or better balance. Their core gameplay loop is good. I genuinely feel like Shadowverse